Never won an NBA championship. Perhaps now is the time. And Sidney Moncrief, considered by many to be one of the best all-around players in basketball, has been sensational against Boston, averaging 23 points a game. And on the front line, all-star forward Marques Johnson has been one of the mainstays for Milwaukee all season long. And against Boston, he has been consistent, averaging 19 points and 41 minutes a game. We'll be back with tonight's starters in game number 4 right after these messages.
All right, let's meet tonight's starting lineups. And in order to do that, we'll turn you over to Jack Gallo, the PA man here in Milwaukee.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NBA playoffs. This is Game 4 of the best of 7 NBA Eastern Conference semifinal series, featuring the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. The Bucks lead the series 3-0. Now the starting lineup for tonight's game. For the Boston Celtics, at forward from Indiana State, 6'9", number 33, Larry Bird. At forward from the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, 6'8", number 31, Cedric Maxwell. At center from Centenary, 7 foot 1/2 inch, 00, Robert Parish. At guard from Brigham Young, 6'5", number 44, Danny Ainge. At guard from Virginia Commonwealth, 6'2", number 43, Gerald Henderson. Head coach of the Boston Celtics, Bill Fitch. Assistants, K.C. Jones and Jim Rogers. Trainer, Ray Melchiori.
Don't need this.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, here are your Milwaukee Bucks. At forward from Arizona State, 6'11" and 1/2", number 53, Alton. At forward from UCLA, 6'7", number 8, Marques Johnson. At center from St. Bonaventure, 6'10" and 1/2", number 16, Bob Lanier. At guard from Tulsa, 6'5", number 25, Paul Pressey. At guard from Arkansas, 6'4", number 4, Sidney Moncrief. Head coach of the Bucks, Don Nelson. Assistants, John Killelay, Gary St. Jean. Trainer, Jeff Snedeker.
And let's take a look at the officials for tonight's basketball game. The officials, veterans. Jake O'Donnell on the left, Bob Rakel in the middle, and Hugh Hollins is on the right. It'll be Jake O'Donnell and Hugh Hollins, and the alternate will be Bob Rakel. Let's reiterate again. As you look at the matchups, Bird and Alton Lister, Maxwell and Marques Johnson, Parish and Bob Lanier, Danny Ainge and Sidney Moncrief, Henderson and Paul Pressey. And they will mix and match as the game unfurls. But Milwaukee with a 3-0 lead. And many of the fans in Milwaukee walking around with brooms tonight as if to say, sweep, sweep. The Celtics saw it on the way in. They're not happy about it. So let's see how they perform here tonight. 3 areas Milwaukee's really gotten a big boost on. They have out-rebounded Boston. They have out-defensed Boston. Boston has yet to score over 100 points in the series. And the bench bunch has played better than Boston's. So let's see what happens tonight. Harvey Catchings, Brian Winters, and Junior Bridgeman have been sensational. And the Boston guards have been really called upon to do a yeoman's share of the job. Marques, good block by Henderson, but a foul. Gerald Henderson, who has had to do a lot of work. He's averaged 28 minutes in the series and averaged 13.3 points per game.
And you look at this again, Marques Johnson getting open inside as the Bucks execute their offense. A bit of a miscue by the Boston Celtics defense. But so far in this series, the Celtics defense has been good at times, but not quite as consistent as Milwaukee.
And it was Marques Johnson who had 2 big runs late in the game on Sunday, one a 7-pointer that really put Milwaukee on top after they trailed in the ball game, and Milwaukee put it up at 3-0. Marques had 7 points against Scott Wedman. And we'll wait to see if Bill Fitch decides to match them up later on. Pick up the matchups now. Pressey on Ainge. Parish draws Lanier. Remember, Bob Lanier has yet to play back-to-back games all season long. Good defense, Milwaukee. Henderson, nope. A lot of hand checking off the ball. Maxwell and Lister being warned by Jake O'Donnell. We'll keep an eye on it for you. Pressey on top to big Bob Lanier. What a series he's had. Many people figured he might not be able to play with all his knee problems and all. There's Lister. They double down. Marques Johnson in and out. Kept it live. Here come the Celtics in green. Their once vaunted break has not been that way, and a lot of that due to Milwaukee's fine defense. Ainge. Back to Henderson. Milwaukee doubling on the ball. Missed shot out, and Lister rebounding. He led the Bucks in rebounds during the regular season. He's averaged 6-7 during the playoffs against Boston. Regular season, 7-1 a game.
One of the problems Boston's had in this series and the mini-series with Atlanta is putting the ball in the basket. They're averaging 46% from the field, and that's down from the year. That's a goaltend by Moncrief.
There is an offensive basket interference right there. It did not count, and it would not have counted because the shot was not going down.
Now you can see the ball's hanging around. Looks like it might get an opportunity to go, but Moncrief is hanging around up there and tips it in.
2-0. Maxwell's a man that Boston has to have a big night on it. He's done little so far in the series. Cornbread Maxwell shooting 44%, averaging 10 points a game. That's below what he did during the regular season and what has otherwise been an inconsistent year. Lanier. Parish bumped Lanier. No foul call. Danny Ainge. And Milwaukee with a rebound. Both teams a little bit tight. Milwaukee 2-2 a tie. Good pass by Pressey and shoved underneath. But a traveling violation called on Alton Lister.
Well, I would have to see that again, but I believe that's an excellent call because I think Bob Lanier, his teammate's the guy that pushed him. Both clubs early in this game not getting off shooting-wise like they would like, and Maxwell in the start of the game yesterday got off early in the game and post-ups inside.
That's Parish's shot. And he shows you. He is an outstanding shooter from that range. Little fall away. He will not finish his shots. Maxwell, contrary, will. He likes to put it down and go to the hoop. But Parish likes that little turnaround, that little jump shot. And for a man 7 feet, he's tough to stop once he launches it. There's Marques. Watch the inside defensive Boston tonight. And Lister, another travel on Alton Lister. But Larry Bird gets it and ready to go. His team not. And Milwaukee drops back to cover Boston, leading at 4-2.
And that's something to keep in mind. Larry Bird missed one game. In the game yesterday, he was not feeling that well. Today, perhaps he's feeling much better and much stronger, and they'll need a big one out of him.
Parish, they double on the ball, swing it back to Ainge. And it's 6-2 Boston. Boston must win. There is no other tomorrow for them. They double on Pressey. Loops it ahead. Bird with an almost steal. If Pressey has a fault, he makes a lot of lollipop passes. He's got to get a little tougher with the passes. And again, the field goal shooting that has been 49% for the series from Milwaukee is cold here early. Back to Ainge. They'll try and establish the outside game because Milwaukee will give it to him. Bird to Ainge. And blocking out underneath is Alton Lister. Giving him Moncrief. 6-2. What a hoist this would be for Milwaukee and this city if the Bucks could sweep Boston. First time ever in the history of the Celtics that they would have been swept in a 7-game series.
Probably the biggest game between these two clubs since the '74 game here when Boston beat Milwaukee to win the championship.
And you see what they do to Lanier, prevent him from going inside, force him back, missed the fall away. Danny Ainge kept live, Bob Lanier. And Lanier out of there with it. Remember, Lanier with a severe problem with the knee. Floating bone chips, that knee could lock at any time. Marques Johnson. Nobody can get the ball to go. And ferocious boarding inside. And it'll be a foul called on Milwaukee. Number 8, I believe.
And the Bucks in this game, as they did in the other games, having a difficult time getting started offensively. The Celtics in each game coming out, as you'll see the foul again on the rebound, as Bird starts to bring the ball out. Marques commits the trip there, and the foul is called. But the Bucks having a slow start.
Not unlike, John, what we've seen the entire series. I didn't hear what you just said. You may have mentioned that.
Yes.
In every game so far in the series, Boston has gotten out to the lead.
Right.
8-2. Sidney Moncrief for the Bucks. Playing a little 2-on-2, a little cat and mouse. Swing it back weak, back to Lanier. Good pass and a foul inside. That shot would have gone, no. It did not. They say the foul was committed before Bob turned around and launched the shot. So Robert Parish just committed the foul. Robert Parish gets one. Boston has two. And into the Bucks lineup, Brian Winters. We talked about the bench bunch. Brian Winters, Junior Bridgeman, Harvey Catchings. Big part of the story in Milwaukee's success so far.
Yes, sir. And we've seen the Bucks go with a smaller team at times, even with Bridgeman in there as Moncrief takes it. Marques slams it home. Now we've seen Brian Winters come in early in these games to give the Bucks outside shooting with Pressey going out. And Boston's going to talk about it.
And Boston's going to talk about checking Marques off the offensive boards. 7:19 to play here in the first period. We have Boston 8, Milwaukee 4. We pause now for a word from our local cable system. We're coming back. Eddie Doucette, John McLaughlin, we are at Mecca. This is the Milwaukee Arena, and these fans in this city love their Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks, who came through a season in tough shape, they had a lot of injury problems. To amplify, they lost 163 player games because of injuries. They had 27 roster changes, and that man, Don Nelson, had to come up with 23 different starting lineups. They did an amazing job, considering that Bob Lanier and Dave Cowens, the two hook and ladders they had counted on in the middle, played no more than half a season apiece. And now Lanier trying to give it his all to try and put the wraps on it, get them a couple days rest before the next series, which would be Philadelphia, if they can put Boston away. Parish, he's tough.
Robert Parish.
You like to play Parish on his inside right hip, but when he goes to the left side and he has the baseline as an extra man, you'd almost have to double from the baseline side, and it would be practically impossible to stop him.
And Eddie, we're seeing both of these ball clubs try to double up on many post-up plays inside. Whoever happens to be in there, they've both done it well with rotations. Now the Bucks like to force Parish to that right turn. They do like to do that and try to get help from the top side, but when he's on the left side of the basket, he's turning to the baseline, as you indicated. Tough to give help.
Milwaukee, real cold so far. They are now 2 for 10 from the floor. Bird, oh, what a pass. Fingertip pass with Maxwell breaking down the lane, and it's 12-4. So a slow start for Milwaukee. Boston, conversely, a little better. They are now 5 for 11 from the floor. 6:25 in the first period. Eddie Doucette, John McLaughlin, there's Moncrief. They'll try and post him, and look at the weak side, help him still beat them. As soon as Moncrief beat his man to the baseline, Boston brought 2 men to him, and he still put it up in the air.
And that's something they're very aware of, especially after the first 3 games, because the Bucks offense, much of it going to Moncrief inside like that.
Brian Winters, they need his outside shot. They need Junior Bridgeman's outside shot, and they'll take Marques' shot when they can get it. There's Brian inside, and he put it in. Who got the tip?
Marques Johnson got the tip as Brian underlaid. Brian Winters and Junior Bridgeman have been helping the Bucks out on the rebound side, and on the other end, the 2 guards for Boston have been getting some outside shots throughout the series.
Double pumping Parish, no foul on the play. One thing you must keep in mind about Boston is, John, that they like to fake you a lot. They'll bait you, and they'll double and triple pump. Bill Fitch, he knows what he has to do here tonight. He wants to go back to Boston. Milwaukee wants to put this one under glass.
Well, of course, he knows they're up against it, and he's coached his team accordingly, but they seem to be quite loose, Eddie. They were loose prior to the game today. They were loose out here on the floor. They seem to have a lot of confidence, and they've been such a good team for so many games that they do have that confidence, and they believe they can come back.
But you know something, John? You played in this league for 11 years. You almost have to be that way. What's going on inside might be a different story.
Well, that's true. I mean, you have to be realistic, but you also have to believe in your capabilities. And as Bill said, they have to take them one at a time, and this is the game 1 for them.
You saw how easily Gerald Henderson went down trying to draw a foul. That was kind of incidental contact, no problem on it. There's Lister down to Marques, posted inside, he's got it. And it's 13-10, Boston by 3.
Both these ball clubs here in this ball game capable of getting inside here early for some percentage basketball.
Marques with 6 points. Milwaukee and Boston regular season 3-3. Great move by Maxwell, blocked by Brian Winters. How about him reading from the top side to come down and help?
Great help.
There's Moncrief. Oh, look at this. Oh, boy. That's the wrong thing to do in Milwaukee. This crowd will be right to the defense of their favorite player, and that is Sidney Moncrief. Got a good Boston. Watch this the other end.
All right, Maxwell is just great on that baseline, and Brian Winters with some super help on teammate Alton Lister to come in and block it on Maxwell. Now watch this. Henderson knows he's beaten. It's not a good foul though, Eddie, because he's putting an outstanding free throw shooter on the line, and there were some teammates of Henderson's coming back in to give defensive help. So that was not a good time to make that foul.
Well, you have one decision there. You let him go for the two, or do you put him at the line and make him work for a pair?
Well, I think the difference in that case is, Eddie, you got a good free throw shooter, and you got a guy that still had two other defensive players in front of him. Now, if that was Alton Lister or Pressey, you foul him.
They might be remembering his 2 for 7 at the line in the first game of the series, however, and hoping that he might return to that kind of form. Lister on a steal. It's 13-12, and Boston gets it right back. They have a 3-on-2. Bird. That's a money in the banker. Larry Bird, who missed game 2. He's played 2 games. He's averaged 19 points a game, 44% shooting from the floor, and 12 rebounds. 15-12, Boston by 3, Bird with 4 points. Early in the first period. Both these heavyweight clubs just feeling one another out now. Marques Johnson, short. Put Lanier right there. And there's a foul call as Danny Ainge got over and hand-checked Bob Lanier. So for Boston now, that'll be team foul number 4, and here comes Junior Bridgeman. Important to note, as you see the 8-year man from Louisville coming in, Bridgeman Winters, first game of the series, you and I noted that if Milwaukee was going to be successful, they would have to get it from Bridgeman and Winters. Together, they've averaged 30 points a game. That's giving it to you.
That's right. That's that outside action by Milwaukee. Bridgeman right away. And the Bucks have had to play with a smaller lineup through this series with these 4 people and the big guy Lister and sometimes Lanier in there. Boston has had somewhat of a problem matching this lineup.
Bridgeman averaging 17-3. Brian Winters at 13 a game. Harvey Catchings has done a great job also. Look at Bird. Active Larry Bird. Parish knocked away. Henderson digging out. Inside. Good inside passing. Traveling. A traveling violation. And that is called on Cedric Maxwell. So turnovers, turnovers, turnovers. They've hurt both clubs in the series so far. Milwaukee with 41 turnovers, Boston with 45.
Something else important to note, Eddie, some people playing a lot of time. Now for Boston, you have Maxwell 39 minutes, Parish 37, but Marques Johnson's playing 41 and 43 for Moncrief. That's a lot of minutes.
That's short. Boston all over Moncrief, double, triple teaming him. John Nelson wanted an illegal defense call. Trying to call the attention of the officials, got no help. As Parish to Henderson to Ainge. Back to Parish, 3 seconds in the lane on Boston. Yes, sir.
Now the Bucks defense is keying inside all series long. They've been packing it back in, doubling up on the baseline, allowing some of the open shots outside by the Boston guards. The Boston guards had responded in game 2 in Boston in the first half, but overall, it has not been effective for the Celtics.
I have been very impressed by Boston's ability to stay with it, hang in there. They're a tough, gritty ball club with a great tradition.
That's right.
And we had a call there with a timeout.
Moncrief stepped on the baseline.
Okay, so a turnover on Milwaukee. Boston will have it back. We'll elaborate on that last point. Boston 15, Milwaukee 14. 2:57 to play in the period. It's playoff action, and we'll be right back. The Boston Celtics 15, the Milwaukee Bucks 14. So far, Milwaukee with 5 turnovers, Boston 3. And John, let's go back to a point that we started to make. Boston and the grittiness with which they've approached each and every game, particularly game 2 when Larry Bird was out, when it would have been very easy to say, hey, no chance tonight. Boston came back and they were really outstanding as we look at Bird come back on the floor. And that's perhaps the best they have played in the series, at least for one half.
At least that first half. They shot the ball extremely well in the first half of that second game, 66%, most of those on outside shots. One of the problems the Celtics have had, and I think we have to credit the Bucks defense partially with this, or maybe even more than partially, the big men inside, Maxwell, Parish, McHale, they have had a difficult time getting off offensively.
Ainge, good move on Brian. Got a foul call before he had a shot attempt and an illegal defense call against Milwaukee. Illegal defense call against Milwaukee. Now here's one statistic we'll try and keep you up on because it has been very key in the series to Don Nelson's Bucks. Milwaukee's out-rebounded Boston so far 14-9. 14-9. And during the regular season, Boston out-rebounded the Bucks in 6 games by almost 8 boards a game. And a foul called on Brian Winters. For Milwaukee, that'll be their third team foul. For Bryant, his second. And with 2:37 to play here in the period, the Bucks trailing Boston by 1.
And that's Bob Lanier. They're trying to play him about 8 minutes a quarter. Now, if you go down the stretch and he has to play more than that in a crucial part of the fourth period, he will.
Larry Bird inside on Marques. Good shot. In and outer. Brian Winters with it. Winters with Marques Johnson ahead on the left. Junior hit Bridgeman ahead on the right. And again, John, to take a point you made, Milwaukee with a small lineup. And some people would say, why? Well, they've had success with it. They've got some good outside shooters in there. They're two best in Bryant. And you see what Don Nelson just did, John?
Yes.
He made the officials see that Boston was playing an illegal defense. Don Nelson made the Boston Celtics either play it properly or get caught, and he actually induced that call.
The Bucks have gone to that set quite a bit in this series, and it's only worked a couple of times, but he brings his men way out on the side, and the defensive men must come up to give help, and then he has a one-on-one or a two-on-two situation on the strong side, and that time it forced the call, and Nelly got hit in the head with the ball that time. Don Nelson.
He'll take a few of those to get the ball back, I'm sure. Alton Lister playing over Parish. Bird. And a loose ball foul. It'll be against Sidney Moncrief. Sidney Moncrief gets the loose ball foul. That is team foul 4 on Milwaukee. How about Sidney Moncrief? You talk about a sensational basketball talent. Moncrief, regular season, outstanding. The Bucks' leading scorer, 22.5 points a game, almost 6 rebounds a game, and about 4 assists per game.
He's an outstanding offensive rebounder.
What a pass by Ainge. Outstanding play by Boston.
Henderson.
Give them credit. They're a great team, this Boston Celtics ball club, and they're not going to go down easily. Look at how they trap on the D. They rotate up from the weak side. Ainge picking up on Marques Johnson. Now you got a defensive mismatch somewhere. Marques and Ainge is what it is. You see it low on the upper left-hand corner. There it is.
Now what happened on that? Alton Lister started to come down and set a screen, and Don Nelson said, get out of there, there's a mismatch. The Bucks found it. We've seen the Celtics do that well throughout the series, but look at the Bucks double up. That's what they've done, and it's paid off in dividends.
Boston with their 4th turnover of the game. Milwaukee with 5. Milwaukee ready to go. They bring it in quickly. Marques Johnson. He is off to a great night. 12 points here in the first period. Milwaukee with their first lead. It's 18-17.
And that's that rule change, Eddie. If you get in position on a turnover on that side court, the official will give you the ball, and you can get up the floor quickly, and that's what happened that time.
Milwaukee's fans love the call. Defense, defense, and Milwaukee can play it. Great shot by Gerald Henderson. They have the open shot. That's what you've got to hit. They were challenged in game 1, didn't deliver. In game 2, they did. And that's what kept Boston somewhat alive in the series.
That young man, Gerald Henderson, has had a super series also. He's gotten in foul trouble a couple of times.
How about the post-up ability of 6'7" Marques Johnson?
Well, of course, with his quickness, and you'll see it again, Maxwell getting a taste of his own medicine, because Maxwell is a great post-up player, perhaps the best in basketball. Gets it from Marques Johnson, who goes to the quickness as Maxwell tries to come up on the ball side and then gets caught, and the foul.
John, talk for a moment about what Milwaukee's doing offensively. They have outstanding spacing, and that has enabled them to really initiate an offense that they didn't have a lot of the season.
Well, they've tried to keep their spacing there so that Boston can't double up, or if they do, they're going to move the ball around well. But I think Boston has done the same, Eddie. That's how they found those open jump shots outside when the double up is there by Milwaukee. So the Celtics have done it well also.
Kevin McHale's in the Boston lineup. Harvey Catchings and Paul Pressey getting set to return from Milwaukee. McHale, an outstanding player, had a good year for the Boston Celtics. Free agent at the end of this one. Averaged, now we'll keep an eye on it now, 14+ points per game during the regular season.
Now the Bucks go to their last shot option here, but there's 5 seconds still on the shot clock, and it's a clear out. You have 2 men, sometimes 3 set up on the left, the other set up on the right. Bridgeman, Moncrief, or Marques Johnson, different players at different times. This time Bridgeman will take it out at the top of the circle, and he can go to the left on the double screen or try to work as he did one-on-one in that situation on McHale, whose wife is expecting a baby anytime.
You said that all in one breath.
I did.
Nice going. Junior Bridgeman, 14.5 points a game, over 26.5 minutes. Playing with a bad foot, but what a playoff series he's had. Up to McHale, Marques running. Ainge with a quick popper, and that ends the first period. So Milwaukee coming from behind on the strength of some outstanding shooting by Marques Johnson, 15 points, has taken a 23-19 lead. We played one. It's going to get better. We're coming back to Mecca in Milwaukee. Milwaukee 23, the Boston Celtics 19, and look at this.
Field goals, 9 for 21 and 8 for 23. Well, the Bucks picked it up a little bit in the second half of that first period. And look at the free throws. That's a real factor in this series, and rebounds also.
So Milwaukee beating the Boston Celtics at their own game. And Boston comes right back. Robert Parish. Parish, another fine year for Boston. He's got 7 points in the game. Regular season, Robert Parish, he averaged 20.2 points per game.
Eddie, on the series, the Bucks have been to the line 23 more times than Boston.
Marques backdoor, went by everyone. Oh, you talk about a quick move by Johnson. Again, Boston rotating their defense up, and he went by 2 of the Celtics as Tiny Archibald starting at one of the guard positions. 17 points for Marques Johnson, the catalytic guard. Archibald, who in the past has made them go. He has stalled a little in this series. McHale. Harvey catching. What a series he has had. Junior Bridgeman. He didn't come close on that one.
Well, he saw that house coming up at him with his arms up, and Parish, and sometimes that'll make you shoot short.
Now look at how Boston is trying to get the ball down the floor quickly, John. Archibald open. He's a streak shooter.
Yes,
if he gets hot, he could turn the lights out by himself. Up to Harvey Catchins, knocked away by Boston. Good hustle by McHale. And Robert Parish with a save. Danny Ainge. Boston trails by a pair. Bird. McHale. And suddenly Boston getting inside on Milwaukee. And they have tied the score. The Boston Celtics, which is a power team inside, one of the best in basketball, just giving you a real good indication why.
The Celtics have been good on the offensive glass all year. They've had a hard time in this series. Yesterday, however, they had some inside offensive rebounds and just couldn't get it to go.
Knocked away by Pressey to Catchings to Bryant. That's not there. And it's chased down by Marques Johnson. And again, Milwaukee hitting the offensive boards. Does it surprise you that Milwaukee's had the success they've had on the offensive boards in this playoff series against Boston?
Well, a little bit, because Boston's been a good rebounding team, and the Bucks have been good on the offensive glass, Eddie, all year, but in particular, just a few people like Moncrief. But in this series, it's been all the Bucks.
What a pump fake by Brian Winters. Milwaukee 27, Boston 25. Winters with 2. Archibald, he's streaky, and he's fouled on the play. And let's see who the call is on.
It'll go on Paul Pressey, Eddie, and Brian Winters, the veteran, saying to Pressey, hey, don't foul him in that situation. Make him take the shot. And you indicated Archibald is a streak shooter somewhat, as we saw Scott Wedman come in. But at times, he shoots the jumper very well. In yesterday's game, he shot 3 in right away, and then he went cold and had problems after that.
So Marques Johnson, his first breather with 17. Archibald at the line. In the 3 games so far, 83% at the line. Tiny Archibald, regular season 74% at the line. And Boston now is 3 for 4 for the evening. Archibald with 3.
With Wedman in, Eddie, they're playing McHale at that center position. Rick Roby has played very little.
Wedman has been outstanding as far as shooting is concerned in the series, 10 for 15. And as they try and prevent Milwaukee from initiating their offense, Boston, as you can see, scrambling defensively more than they have at any point in the series. They have to.
Now, before, when McHale has been in the game at center, we've seen Lanier in the game for Milwaukee, and the Bucks have gone to that and tried to take advantage of it inside. With Lister in there, they may not.
Look at how they triple team Moncrief. Bridgeman can't keep it, and the ball chased down by Boston. If Milwaukee can't hit the outside shot, they're in big trouble because Boston's going to give it to him. Archibald, Bird, but it's Harvey catching. Harvey catching. Averaging 5 rebounds a game in 22 minutes a game so far, but lots of block shots. Brian Winters, who's had all kinds of injury problems all year, but when he hits his screens, there's nobody more deadly in the game. Wedman Oh, you talk about deadly. And that was a rainbow shot a la John McLaughlin when he was playing so many years for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Way back with Naismith, right? I respect Scott Wedman so much. Here's a guy that has not played that much time all season long, and yet when he's been called upon to respond for the Celtics in some tough situations, he sure has done it.
Milwaukee's rebounding kept them in the game and got them a lead in the first period. They only shot 35%. Moncrief and foul, go to the line. Sidney Moncrief, like a hot knife cutting through butter. Watch this guy.
This has been much of the Bucks offense throughout this series. Give the ball to Moncrief and let him work. And the Celtics have had a real problem shutting him down. Look at this great camera work from the inside. Moncrief getting the opening. McHale coming up to block, and he's a good shot blocker with the foul.
31-28. Milwaukee with Sidney Moncrief at the line. Moncrief just now getting the kind of recognition he deserves, and he misses a free throw. The 4-year man from Arkansas, the #1 pick. Triple Crown winner in Milwaukee last year. McHale, no offensive basket interference. Looked like he might have been over the iron, but the official, Hugh Hollins, was right there. These officials have done an outstanding job in the entire series. They really have.
Yes, they have. I agree with that. They've been super. That was another offensive rebound for Catchings on that play. He's got 3 defensive and 1 offensive, and he's had offensive rebounds throughout this series.
Look at Archibald penetrate. Kept live by Catchings. Loose ball foul on Harvey Catchings. Loose ball foul on Harvey Catchings. Harvey said, hey, I feel good. I haven't felt better all year. He's had problems with both knees, but he's healthy now.
And look at Tiny penetrate. He's one of the best in the game at that he stays with the missed shot, and Catchings gets the foul over the back.
For Harvey, #1. For Milwaukee, #2. Lister out and back into the Milwaukee lineup now. They have Bridgeman. Marques Johnson has come back in. He will play on Larry Bird.
And that moves Catchings to the center position.
Tiny. No. Bird. Tough. Kept live. Marques. Hot potato. The Birdman. And hot hands inside by Brian Winters. Knocks it away to Harvey Catchings. That's Marques. What a thrust by Marques Johnson.
Wow, the Bucks coming out running, and they're playing a faster-paced game than perhaps they had planned.
Quinn Buckner in for Boston. Almost said that he was playing for Milwaukee, and he did for so many years. Scott Wedman, good offensive rebound, and a foul called against Milwaukee. Action at both ends, magnificent. Oh, this is what the NBA is all about right here. 19 points, incidentally, from Marques Johnson, John Nelson, and now Bill Fitch. 2 of the good coaches in the NBA, and there are a lot of them, believe me. Bob Lanier replaces Harvey Catchings. Standing ovation. That's a great human being on top of being a nice player.
Both these ball clubs, Eddie, like to run. Boston wants to run a little bit more than Milwaukee. However, the Bucks took the lead in the game yesterday here by running. Now, Boston would like to control that by getting more rebounds, even at the offensive end, and we've talked about offensive rebounds, or shoot a better percentage. That will shut it down. Now, Roby's in the game. We haven't seen him too often.
And after everybody handled the ball, it seemed, Milwaukee gets it back. Rick Roby. Roby's in there for one purpose, and that is to try and put a big body on Bob Lanier.
He can do that.
He's always played Lanier pretty well. Brian Winters. Bird bangs, and Wedman's got.
You'll notice they countered. Boston countered with Roby when the Bucks brought in Lanier just to do that because McHale's had a problem with him. Look at that, Larry Bird.
Offensive tip by Larry Bird. Why is he so great? John Wooden said he may be the best player in the game today. He also said that Oscar Robertson might be the best ever. 35-31. John Wooden, you kind of listen to him when he says something. Offensive foul on Bob Lanier. And Lanier will get his first. Milwaukee will get a timeout. We have 6:32 to play in the first half. No disappointment so far. Milwaukee 35, Boston 31. We pause for a word from our local cable systems. This is USA. John Nelson rebounds. Bucks 22, Boston 17. That continues to be a very important statistic, John McLaughlin, considering during the regular season, Milwaukee as a team averaged 43.6 rebounds a game against the league. Boston 46.4 rebounds against the league. And tonight, as has been the case the entire series, Milwaukee with a rebound advantage. Milwaukee with 7 turnovers, Boston 5. That could become a very important statistic before the night's over. Rick Roby, who played on the NC2A champion Kentucky Wildcats. Quinn Buckner from Indiana. Larry Bird, the Birdman. Cross, Wedman. He's good, blocked from behind. That was an artistic block by Marques Johnson, who had to go behind and get all ball that time. Otherwise, it would have been a foul.
And Wedman's a smart player that uses his picks well. There's another block from behind on Larry Bird.
They came in on 5 seconds. They use 1. You always get at least 5 seconds, so they'll roll it back to 5. Boston with 5. Archibald, the littlest man in the house, and he got inside that time.
Nice play by Archibald. He set up right in front of the basket, had Brian Winters on his back. It was an easy one.
But the look by Larry Bird. A fingertip control by Bird. 35-33, the Milwaukee Bucks. Quinn Buckner playing on Moncrief. On your left. Isolated, and up that ladder he goes. Larry Bird. Roby over. Can't get it. Brian Winters. Sidney Moncrief on the weak side lob. How pretty it was.
Unbelievable. And when Archibald is in the game, the Bucks do try to work on him at the defensive end of the floor.
I like what Boston's doing defensively. Look at how they rotate up, causing Milwaukee all kinds of problems, and the Bucks having to go way down on the shot clock before initiating. But Lanier on a falling down banker. He's got 2. Milwaukee by 6. Archibald, and an offensive foul called on Larry Bird. Trying to set the back screen. He's called for the offensive foul.
Now, when Archibald's in the game, you'll see a lot of that type of thing. They try to come up and play 2-man basketball with him, and the Bucks play that by having the back man do a lot of showing, not necessarily switching, but showing and getting back.
Fake the give and go, rolling down the boulevard, thrown wildly away by Lanier, and Archibald with the Milwaukee turnover. Look at the give. Beautiful feed. Buckner on the follow. Can't. Bridgeman from nowhere. Up they come. Moncrief. Boston trying to counter quickly the other end.
Junior Bridgeman had 10 big rebounds yesterday for the Milwaukee Bucks. He's been rebounding in this series.
Milwaukee is high as can be, and Boston trailing it now, 41-33. We're on USA. You can't beat this excitement. We'll be back. Michael Ray Richardson said of Sidney Moncrief, I try and contain him, I can't stop him. And now you're going to see why.
Moncrief out on the break here as Junior Bridgeman gets the rebound inside. As a matter of fact, Lanier and Moncrief out. Lanier perhaps running the blocking position for him as Moncrief takes it in and jams it home.
At halftime tonight, John McLaughlin will visit with Milwaukee's Brian Winters. We'll have a Wall Street Journal report, and they will have highlights and statistics. All that and more coming up at halftime tonight. It's 41-33. Boston will have Scott Wedman, Gerald Henderson, Danny Ainge, Kevin McHale, and let's see, they run that simple curl. Milwaukee switches out off the pick, and Robert Parish is in the middle for Boston. Marques Johnson and Milwaukee staying up. Good play by Boston. Traveling violation, however. Milwaukee right there. And what are they doing inside, John, where they're switching so much?
Well, the Bucks are trying to play the pass inside. Harvey Ketchum's fronting Parish. We've seen Boston try to swing the ball around and try to get it inside him, but the Bucks really covered up well for one another. Ketchum's very aggressive inside particularly.
Marques Johnson, he's hot. Wow, 21 points for Marques first half. Milwaukee over 60% from the floor, Boston 32%. That's Parish, and he's fouled as they try to get it in. Harvey catching 6'9.5" from Hardin Simmons, who's having his best playoff ever, is the man that caught the foul for Milwaukee. They talk about Milwaukee, the oldest team in the NBA. Some people say the Wax Museum, but the Wax Museum has got a lot of life in them these days. Ainge, it was as if all of those characters have come to life. And a foul called on Milwaukee as Ainge tried to shoehorn the back door. And Bridgeman gets it with 3:51, and Milwaukee with a 10-point lead.
That should be a shooting foul. The Bucks over the limit. Yes, it is. Ainge will go to the line. The Celtics with 2 team fouls. Ainge does a good job of mixing up his offense. He's a fine outside shooter, yet he has good enough quickness to get to the hoop. But the Bucks have been fairly consistent at shutting some of that penetration off, although they certainly did not do it on that play.
Danny Ainge. Many people felt that Danny Ainge was not going to develop after Boston went all out to try and get him from the Toronto Blue Jays. I happen to be one of the people that think he's going to be an outstanding player. He's getting that way now. He has 3 points. He made 1 of 1. He's only had 2 free throws that he's made in the series, 2 for 3. Marques Johnson with a left hand, kept live inside, and Moncrief that time. A loose ball foul against Boston, I believe.
Gerald Henderson pushing from behind. And here's what happened. Now watch the penetration, but watch Moncrief behind Marques get inside position on Henderson. As a matter of fact, he and Bridgeman both had inside position. So Henderson pushing from behind perhaps committed a good foul.
So Milwaukee with the ball, 3:33 to play here in the first half. They lead 43-34. The Boston Celtics. Wedman taking away the angle from Junior Bridgeman. Pressey on the come around. Bridgeman over Wedman. Harvey Catchings taps to keep it live. Pressey. Harvey Catchings made that happen for Paul Pressey.
Pressey, the young rookie, has gotten a lot of playing time the last 6 weeks of the season. He's quite effective inside, but in the playoffs, he hasn't been playing as much. Turnover, Boston.
Gerald Henderson on a drop lead feed intended for Ainge, and Brian Winters was there. Pressey. That's the one man Boston would love to see Milwaukee use to shoot the ball. Pressey, not a good outside shooter. And the quickness of getting out and filling the lanes. 45-36. Milwaukee with the lead. Danny Ainge with 5. Milwaukee in the first period, 4 field goal shooting percentage. But out rebounding Boston 16-9. Boston has turned it over 8 times. Milwaukee 7 so far.
Throughout this series, Boston has tried to apply pressure in the backcourt to force the Bucks to take a lot of time to get into their offense, and they have done a good job at that.
Parish on the block off the inside power layup attempt by Pressey. And a foul call, and Ainge will go to the line. Brian Winters picking up another foul for Milwaukee. There he is. Brian Winters. Been around for a while. 9-year man, 6'5" from South Carolina.
This is just individual effort. Ainge just pushing it up as quickly as he can. Actually, he gets into travel there, but because of the foul call, that helps get him out of that difficulty. Winters got into foul trouble yesterday for Milwaukee. Had to go out early. For Boston, Henderson has had some problem in that area.
The main clog, Bob Lanier from Milwaukee, has just come back. Danny Ainge having some problems at the free throw line. Little Charlie Chris. Talk about accomplishments. Man is 5'8". You realize how good he has to be at 5'8" to play with these accomplished athletes. That's an incredible statistic. 5'8", playing in the land of the Giants.
I just look at you and realize, gee, that's you playing.
Easy now. Easy.
That is an amazing feat. He's done it.
45-37. Chris, Lanier, Pressey posting up on Ainge. Watch it. Charlie Chris outside shooting whiz. And we've got a little thing going between Bridgeman and Scott Wedman. John, I've known Junior Bridgeman for a long time, and for that matter, Scott Wedman. And neither one of these fellas are the kind of guys who would really want to get into it. To give you an idea how intense this competition is here tonight.
Now, that foul was on Wedman. Jake O'Donnell did a great job that time. He saw some aggressive activity off the ball. He jumped in and stopped it immediately, so it would not go any further than that. That's a new 24 for the Bucks, however, and the shot clock was down to 4.
And that's the 4th team foul on Boston. Lanier, Bridgeman coming the other way. And a loose ball foul on Harvey Catchings over the back of Kevin McHale. So Boston with a chance to cut it 2 more. McHale, a good free throw shooter, coming the other end.
Now, see Bridgeman get the shot here, but that is a tough shot going to the basket. He tries to lay it in over the front of the rim, does not get the bounce. Catchings with the foul on good inside position by McHale, and now you see the value of being able to go to the line and shoot those free throws to cut down that lead by Boston.
Kevin McHale, regular season, always played Milwaukee well. Averaged 26 minutes a game and 16.5 points a game. Against the league, 72% at the line regular season. Against Milwaukee, 68%. But in this playoff series, a little over 50%. Misses them both. Henderson's got. Challenging, good move. Henderson, and Milwaukee with a rebound. Gerald Henderson from Virginia Commonwealth. Nice looking player. Charlie Chris. Bridgeman wants it. He's got Ainge posted low left. Chris trying to find Junior, who peels out of there. They interchange in the baseline. Bridgeman going right, Pressey coming to the left side. On the cover on, 4 seconds on the shot clock. Pressey. And he'll go to the line, fouled by Danny Ainge. Boston doing everything they can, and well they should, trying to battle to stay alive as BYU's Danny Ainge committed the foul.
Well, that's one I would like to see again. Pressey made that foul occur because he threw the ball up and then spread his legs. It looked like Ainge then coming out at him hit his leg. Now look at it again. Watch Ainge react very well. You see they hit the leg of Pressey because Pressey threw his leg out. Ainge did not hit him on the arm.
Paul Pressey is a fair, at best, free throw shooter. In the playoffs, he's been poor, 17%. But he hits one of the two. Pressey now 2 for 8 in the playoffs and 3 points for the night. Sunday, he got in foul trouble. Did not play that many minutes. Henderson, good move on Charlie Chris. Knocked away by Alton Lister. The high rise. Alton Lister. Alton Lister. There's the big man. Like a 7-foot canvas being brushstroked into a work of art by Don Nelson and his coaches. He has come along magnificently from Milwaukee. 46-37. Wedman. And knocked out of bounds by Gerald Henderson over the back of Milwaukee's Junior Bridgeman.
That was executed well. It forced the Bucks to switch. It had Henderson on Wedman, and Wedman a good jump shooter.
We're down to the final minute of the first half. John visits with Brian Winters. We'll have a Wall Street Journal report, and we'll have highlights and statistics. Stay with us. That's Lister, Arizona State. Charlie Chris on the double screen for Bridgeman. Pops back deep. No foul call. Ainge picks it up. And the ball loose. And it's fought for, and Ainge gets it under control. That's Wedman, great shooter. And Bridgeman, who had 10 rebounds on Sunday, getting up as high as you've seen him get up in the last couple years. He's had a lot of problems with his feet, John McLaughlin. Yes. But when he came to this league, he had a 44-inch vertical leap, and he looks like he's getting up that high now.
Well, he's certainly been doing it lately and giving the Bucks some second shot opportunities. Wedman having the 2 shots you would like for him to have, just missed. 5 on the big clock.
And that's going to end the half, I believe. Boston will not get a final shot. Milwaukee and Boston, a very exciting first half of basketball. At halftime, the Bucks 46, the Celtics 37. Johnny Mack and Brian Winters, 2 of the game's great shooters, when we return. Eddie Doucette, John McLaughlin. Halftime, 46-37 Milwaukee. Here are the halftime statistics.
And the field goal percentage, as you can see, not very good by either ball club. Boston will round it off at 36. The Bucks at 40 to 41%. Not good by either. The free throws fairly close in terms of going to the line. The Celtics having some problems putting it in, but neither club has really shot that well over the series from the line. Turnovers equal, rebounds. You can see the Bucks leading in that category.
All right. What will Boston do now? 1 half away from ending their season. What kind of counter strategy must they come up with here?
Well, Eddie, I think obviously they're going to have to shut the Bucks down a little bit more at the defensive end, or their defensive end. But with the Bucks shooting 40%, maybe that's not as much as a factor as the Celtics putting the ball in the basket, something they have not done consistently throughout the mini-series or this 7-game series.
So Boston trailing by as many as 11. Now down by 9. Bill Fitch, as you can see, taking the Celtics to the playoffs in all 4 years as head coach. And will he be able to continue beyond this round here tonight?
You know, the interesting thing about Boston I've noticed throughout this series is how totally confident and cool they seem to be much of the time. Right now they're down, and yet a lot of their players very somewhat casual out there. ML Carr, interestingly enough, getting a start here in this second half on the back line, perhaps for defensive purposes on Moncrief.
Also to give him a little bit more physical strength. He's a very physical, almost intimidating player. Bird on Marques all the way, does a 360 and comes up shy. Bob Lanier. John, many people have watched this series and they've said, why doesn't Boston try and get the ball to Bird more? Maybe even as much as 90% of the time, he will make things happen. Do you agree?
Oh, I think anyone in their right mind would agree that Bird can make things happen. Why he doesn't get the ball more, I don't know. illegal defense on Boston. It's on Henderson. That's number 2 on the team. That will be a shooting.
And that means, Bill Fitch, that Milwaukee will shoot the free throw, as John just indicated on the technical, and Milwaukee will retain possession of the ball with a full-blown 24-second clock. So they'll rotate the clock full. Milwaukee will have possession of the ball, and Moncrief will be at the line.
Eddie, let's come back to something. ML Carr starting. Now, Bill Fitch has been searching for people all through this series. He's been juggling lineups. He's been looking for a combination that will work. And he's had some problems. And I realize they perhaps want to play some good defense on Moncrief, but on the other hand, they're not shooting the ball well, and ML Carr is not a good shooter normally, consistently, and therefore he may not, in most cases, bring them the offense they would like.
Now, John Nelson was too far up near midcourt. He went beyond the hash mark, and Jake O'Donnell immediately told Don Nelson to get back where he belongs. Nelson trying to get up to give his team a call. Maxwell on Marques Johnson. Emil Carr on Moncrief. They'll try and put body on him. Challenging Parish and still put it in. That's amazing how a man 6'4" can take it in and over a man that's 7'1".
He had such great body control and upper body strength. That's amazing.
Maxwell, good passer. Parish, good shooter. And we have a foul called inside on Milwaukee. Watch Boston when they get the ball inside, John. They've always been an outstanding passing team. With Bird and Maxwell, you've got two of the best in the business.
You know, and interesting also, through this series, Boston's had more team assists than Milwaukee. Milwaukee's offense is broken down a lot of times to some one-on-one stuff, but they've scored.
Knocked away, Carr saves and throws it back into Henderson's hand. Plenty of time, shot clock at 15 when he got it. Henderson over Moncrief. Bird, great offensive rebound. Follow-up tip, Boston. They're alive inside, and they can't get it to go. They had 3 shots at it, not enough. And a foul called on Paul Pressey. Good call by Jake O'Donnell. Boy, tremendous defensive positioning that time by Henderson. And Pressey coming up out of control that time, just lost it and tried to get it back.
Beautiful play by Henderson. Look at this. He stands his ground. He reaches in, deflects the ball away, makes the steal, and Pressey then gets the foul. Henderson has good quickness. He's a good defensive player.
Also got to look at how long those arms of Pressey are. He just flicks him out like a lizard's tongue. Inside Parish, all by himself, and a foul call. The defense, once he got down on a one-on-one situation, rotated down, and Moncrief getting there in time to commit the foul. 49-37, Parish will go to the line. Big man with a nice soft touch.
Well, the way Boston set that up that time, it was very difficult for the Bucks to give the double team help they've been giving or would like to give throughout this series.
Boston, very cold at the line. 6 for 12 now. Milwaukee in the first half, 8 for 10 at the line. And now 7 for 13, the Celtics at the line. Robert Parish with 8. Look at Boston go to the trap. Try and put some pressure on Lane to the floor. By the way, congratulations to Hubie Brown and the New York Knicks, not for being eliminated, but for the way they came back and made a heck of an exciting season for New York Knickerbocker fans. And also congrats to Billy Cunningham and that outstanding Philadelphia team. Bob Lanier. Denver, San Antonio later tonight in Denver. And Philadelphia will wait to find out what happens here, and we'll try and give you an explanation as to when the next series in the East will start. Parish, great shooter. And Alton Lister climbs the ladder. Paul Pressey, Lanier, and Johnson ahead on the left. Moncrief cuts through. Wow. What a thread the needle pass that time. And Milwaukee by 15. Boston calls for timeout. .9:36 to play in the third. The Bucks 53, the Celtics 38. Eddie Doucette, John McLaughlin, and Milwaukee's fans at Mecca. They love their Bucks. They're looking for a sweep. Not since 1951 has a Boston Celtics team been swept, and that was in a 2-game series. This would be the first time, if Milwaukee can do it to Boston, that it has ever happened to the Boston Celtics. The Bucks huddle at the free throw end in front of the Milwaukee bench. Boston comes back with ML Carr, veteran who may retire after this season, Larry Bird, Gerald Henderson, Cornbread Maxwell, and Robert Parish. You've got Henderson, 6'3", Bird, 6'9", Carr, 6'6". Maxwell sets a screen, look for the pick and roll, can't rotate on top. Good move by Parish, and a foul. Rarely do you see Parish take the ball to the hoop that time. Milwaukee tried to cover, but it was too late. Lister the foul.
Fine play by Parish, the big guy. And you're right, I haven't seen him do this too many times. He has to double pump here, and the mistake Lister makes is going down after the ball and committing the foul. Here's another angle on it. Parish showing some quickness. All I can say to these Bucks fans is don't count your hay till it's in the barn. This Boston Celtics team has some great players on it, and they can certainly come back. The Bucks did in Boston.
Reiterate the line I used at the top. Bill Fitch says you can count us down, but you can't count us out. Larry Bird said we'll need more than a slogan tonight. Paul Pressey with a stop and go. If he's going to make it in this league, he's going to have to make it as a point guard, and as you can see, the Boston pressure will give him something to think about and work on during the offseason. Well, 53-40 by 13 Milwaukee.
You can see that the Bucks will probably want to get Marques Johnson or one of the forwards to perhaps bring the ball up, but the Celtics looking for the double team trap whenever it's there, and that was Bird that gave help on it.
Parish, that rainbow, no. Alton Lister, yes. Marques Johnson, 21 in the first half. Watch Milwaukee space it out. And again, Boston defense, Henderson, Bird, and he over-shovels the pass intended for Maxwell. The Boston pressure has hurt Milwaukee the last 2 times they've brought the ball down the floor. Perhaps they may decide to let somebody else bring it up. If you give the ball to Moncrief and allow him to bring it up, that puts too much pressure on him. Lister and Pressey, a rookie and a second-year man, and that's fine as far as Boston is concerned. That's where they want to see handle the ball.
Now we see why ML Carr is in the game. Fitch wants to tighten up the D. He wants to start doubling up all over, and ML Carr, of course, is an excellent defensive player. Foul. No, just 2.
How about the offensive rebound by Marques Johnson? He shot the ball and then immediately went to the hoop. Turnovers 11-10, Boston. ML Carr. Maxwell low left wants it on Alton Lister. There's Carr in behind the screen. Steam shovel. Followed Chipley, got his own. ML Carr. Where has he been? Many of the fans in Boston may ask. 7 years from Guilford. 5th round draft choice, Kansas City. Johnson again. Oh! Alton Lister. Wow. First 2 points and a dramatic 2-point package by the kid from Arizona State. 57-42 Milwaukee. Larry Bird. Great pass. Block shot inside. Lister. He's on fire now. Pressey. Moncrief. .7:20 to play in the third. Milwaukee 59, Boston 42. A pause for this word from our local cable system. It's 59-42 Milwaukee, and this crowd is just alive. Watch this spectacular play. Johnson with Lister to follow.
Marques Johnson gets the shot with good defense in front of him, but Lister had the angle because Parish came up to pick up Johnson.
And again, the Milwaukee spacing has enabled them to do things they weren't able to do that much during the regular season. Larry Bird bringing it up for Boston with Henderson, Maxwell, Parish, and Carr for the green of the Celtics. And a little physical action inside. Milwaukee with 13 offensive rebounds, Boston with 11. Alton Lister, the second-year man, with his second personal foul of the night. But Milwaukee with 7:06 over the limit now. And Don Nelson has to be aware that every time they commit a foul, Boston will go to the line for the extra shot.
Now, this is a real plus for Boston right now. They need that advantage to try to get back into it. The Bucks with 5, Boston none. Consequently, Boston will be shooting a lot, and they can perhaps eat away at that lead with the good defense and drawing the fouls and going to the line.
Pressey and Lister forced to handle the ball. Has to bring it up. And he gives it to Lister. The big kid handled the pressure pretty well for Milwaukee. But they're putting a rope around everybody else that's got any experience and forcing the lesser experienced Bucks to do the job inside. Marques Johnson, Sidney Moncrief. They call him double dynamite in Milwaukee.
Well, we see what's happening. Boston's forcing the Bucks to take a lot of time to get the ball up the floor, and the Bucks getting in their offense very late. And he's scoring.
Number 6 in the NBA in block shots this year, Alton Lister. And the Bucks trying to initiate a break the other end, and they are trying to bury the Celtics right here. This is something Milwaukee didn't do a lot of, and that is when they got the opposition down, bury them. That's the sign of a good team. And the Celtics, of course, are going to show you they've got a lot of fight left as they come back with Larry Bird.
How sweet it is when he snaps that net using the screen well. They've been using Parish out high here the last few times, and of course you would think they want to get Bird the ball and let him work.
61-46, 6:03 to play in the third. Milwaukee trying to close down Boston. Boston wants the trip back to the Bay. Lanier out high. They spread it out. Moncrief again. Back to Lanier. Good shooter from there. He's got 6. And Milwaukee continues to pour it on. 63-46. Parish beat Lanier. Usually money in the bank. Alton Lister with his 8th rebound of the game. He's from Arizona State. Johnson, UCLA. Pinned by Parish. Picked up by Moncrief. Fouled inside by Boston. Double dynamite. Johnson, Moncrief. What a tandem they are. When they etch the final chapter, this tandem from Milwaukee will go down with some of the best.
All right, Marques Johnson challenging here. You might think he would pull up. Great defense by Parish, but Moncrief doing what he has done all year throughout his career. Go to the offensive boards time after time. Come up with a big play. There's a different angle. Look at that defense by Parish, but he can't fight them all in those white jerseys.
That foul was on Gerald Henderson. And now Robert Parish goes out. Kevin McHale comes in. McHale is a devastating offensive rebounder. A tremendous young talent who may take his services elsewhere in the free agent market this year. Sidney Moncrief.
And new guards in the game for Boston, Archibald and Ainge.
You're seeing some of the very best. And Bill Fitch now watching as Larry Bird brings it up. His club has been down worse than this before and come back in less than a half of basketball. Bird blocked by Lanier. What a block by Bob Lanier. 2-on-1, and Marques Johnson lost the handle. And Kevin McHale gets in. Here come the Celtics. Archibald and Ainge. John just called your attention to him. Maxwell and foul. Offensive foul. Offensive foul on Cornbread Maxwell as Alton Lister took the charge.
We must talk about Alton Lister right now and the job he's been doing. Now watch it again. He comes up to block that shot, and look at Maxwell throw the left arm out for protection. Lister's been rebounding and blocking shots.
Marques Johnson, look at the pressure he gets from Maxwell. 2 big men that handle the ball like guards, both of them. And now a foul call. It'll be on Maxwell. Maxwell, one of the better passers and inside men that John told us before, getting a foul. His job trying to contain Marques Johnson, but now he has 3 personal fouls. And we have a 20-second timeout on Boston. Boston unofficially with 3 regular timeouts remaining. 3 regular timeouts remaining. Milwaukee with 5 plus a 20. And Bill Fitch is saying, slow down, guys. This game is being brought to you with the express written consent of the NBA. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other use of the pictures and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the NBA or the USA Network is prohibited. Dave Cowens. And don't you know that he would love to be in there now? 23rd in the NBA scoring with 1,684 playoff points.
Eddie, he had his knee taped before the game. He wants to play, and he's dragging it around, as you know.
He may get a chance in the next series if Milwaukee goes on. And Marques Johnson called for the travel. Turnovers. Milwaukee 13, Boston 11. Not a lot for 2 teams that play this kind of an up-tempo game. 65-46. Physical, oh, you bet. And it'll be on McHale. Nope, on Marques Johnson.
That's his second.
Number 2 on Marques Johnson. Junior Bridgeman comes in.
End of the game for the Bucks. Number 2.
That is such a good play. Now, Marques Johnson needs a rest. Bridgeman came in. But it was such a good play by the Celtics, and they execute it so well. It's for Bird. McHale comes down the middle of the paint and sets a screen for Bird, and Bird can top to the top of the circle and get open for that jumper. You saw he made it. It did not count, but McHale did a good job of being sure he got the screen and set it well.
Short Lister. The NBA officials have been doing an extra close job of scrutinizing free throw attempts. There have been a lot of line and lane violations called, and the officials do an excellent job of watching that. Sometimes a player will lose sight of where he is as far as the way he aligns himself to line. Bridgeman open. This man fell down. Milwaukee by 20 with 4:04 to play in the third. Who would have ever thought that Milwaukee could turn it on against the great Boston Celtics like they have thus far, although not over. Larry Bird will tell you that.
How does he continually make it look so easy?
He's such a great player, John.
Steal.
Look at the steal. Maxwell looks for the trailer. And just like that, Boston is back 67-51 from 20 to 16.
The Bucks having some problem handling this pressure by Boston. They've turned the ball over a number of times here.
You can bet that if Philadelphia is watching and they get Milwaukee next, they will be taking note of the fact that Milwaukee's having a bit of a problem handling the pressure. Tiny Archibald, he's got 1. Boston has 3. Milwaukee already over the foul limit. Marques Johnson on the bench with 2 personals. Bob Lanier, Alton Lister. The big question was whether Lanier could play 2 nights in a row. And look at Larry Bird. As soon as Lanier laid it down, Bird on a steal, Ainge on an underlay, he'll go to the line. And Milwaukee at one time a 20-point leader. Now down to 16, and it could go to 14 with 3:11 in the third.
Now look at this good anticipation by Bird, knowing that the Bucks go to Lanier when McHale has to play center. And he had the ball in deep position. It could have been trouble for McHale, but Bird anticipated very well, and then Ainge draws the foul at the other end. And Boston's doing it the right way, Eddie. They're chipping away at that lead a little bit at a time, not trying to get it all back at once, but they're playing real solid defense, forcing the Bucks into taking a lot of time and turnovers.
Timeout with 3:11 to play in the third. Milwaukee 67, Boston 52. It's USA playoff time in the NBA, and we'll be coming right back. We have the best in the NBA playoff time. We also have the best of Stanley Cup playoff action right here on USA. Tomorrow night, Game 4, the Edmonton Oilers and the Chicago Blackhawks. It starts at 8:30 Eastern, and Chicago's going to have to give it a kick to stay alive. That's tomorrow night, right here on USA. 67-52. Trying to get word as to whether Brian Winters is all right. He's not been in here in the second half.
Eddie, I think he's fine. I think that the Bucks have not brought him in because of the pressure in the backcourt, and they want to try to have someone in to handle the ball. Pressey is the guy that they like to handle the ball because they feel he can do that. Of course, he doesn't have as much experience. It's his first playoff.
Danny Ainge 2 for 4 at the line. And Danny Ainge now gives Boston a bit of an opportunity to cut the big gap. It was 20. They've scored 6 in a row. Milwaukee's got to get it in motion again. The crowd in Milwaukee has helped the Bucks. Moncrief with Lanier. Harvey Catchings, who had 5 boards in 10 minutes. Bridgeman. And Tiny Archibald with a rebound. Boston a little bit more patient now. McHale. Maxwell in the middle. There's Ainge. Backs down on Harvey. They sag back in to help. Archibald. And the offensive tip. And Boston now has scored 8 straight points. And it's a 12-point game. A long way from over.
That's right. That gives them life. They've done an excellent job of cutting that lead down with this pressure defense.
Marques Johnson getting some rest for the Bucks on their bench. Down to Lanier. Ainge and McHale on Lanier. Reverse the ball. That's Bridgeman. Moncrief on the cut. After 8 straight, Milwaukee scores.
Delay of game warning on Milwaukee as the ball came through, but Moncrief with a tough shot. But it seems like the more contact he has, the better he is inside. But when you're down like Boston is, you can't just trade hoops. You got to stop the other club. They've done that somewhat in this third.
Moncrief with 23. Good position inside and another foul. And Boston really taking advantage of the fact that Milwaukee's been in the foul situation or the penalty situation since 3:51. Harvey Catchings with 4. And he is in jeopardy of going out of here. 1:55 to play here in the third period. Ball Pressey out. Brian Winters is in, so he's all right, John.
Yeah, he's fine. Now, Maxwell's on the line, and he's a master at drawing the fouls. He'll go to the line a lot. In the series, he hasn't done it that much. On the season, of course, he has. When he gets the ball in deep, the Bucks coaches are saying to their defense, stay on the floor. Don't go for his fakes, but that's easy to say. Not always easy to do against that deceptive Maxwell.
78% career free throw shooter, 81% as you saw this year. And now it's back to 12. 1:50 to play in the third period. Doubling on Brian Winters. Milwaukee spreads the floor. On top they go Marques Johnson. Rotate Bridgeman baseline, right, left. Milwaukee will let the air out now, start using the clock. Over Bird, Marques Johnson.
That's the offense the Bucks go into quite a bit, and they'll give Marques the ball at the top. They spread their offense then, and that allows Marques time to work either for the jumper or the penetration.
Larry Bird again. No foul. Bridgeman knocked down.
Larry Bird.
71-59. We have 1:15 to play in the third. Larry Bird with 12 points in the ball game. Brian Winters, Marques Johnson got a very brief rest, came in that last time out. They open it up. Challenges Bird. Stop and pop, he's got it. What he's doing is he's taking it to Bird and then stopping and falling back and hitting it.
That's right, and he's got the offense spread enough that he's got room to do that, and also he can make the play a lot of times to the double screen.
Bird again, alley-oop.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
How well he does it. He just steam shovels it over the crowd.
What a great touch, too. He had to go up high to get it over the defense inside and yet keep the touch.
You couldn't ask for some better talent than what you have here tonight. Bird and Marques Johnson matched at the small forward. Can you believe that?
I know, it's great.
Here's Ainge. Good drive by Danny Ainge.
Beautiful.
Maxwell. What a play by Boston. And now the Celtics have cut the 20-point lead in half. And Milwaukee is down to the final 20 seconds in the third period. Boston has come back. This is an outstanding effort by Boston. And they've come back from 20 down. Milwaukee wants to work for a final shot here in the third. 4 seconds. Marques Johnson, he's been hot all night. He's got 29, and that'll ring the curtain on the third period. Wow. You got to handle him with asbestos gloves. Marques Johnson, the Bucks 75, the Celtics 63. The fourth period is round the corner. The Milwaukee Bucks have led by as many as 20. Bill Fitch and his Celtics cut that lead in half, and now after 3 trail by 12. It's 75-63, and you can bet that Boston will have wall-to-wall pressure for the final 12 minutes of this one.
Well, I think Boston did a fine job of cutting that lead down, Eddie. They did it a little bit at a time. Now they have 11:47 to try to get back in this one. That's an illegal defensive. That's on Boston. That's number 3.
Look at the stats after 3, John. Boston and Milwaukee, you see what they add up to.
Yeah.
And the rebounding continues to be a big difference in this game.
And the free throws, a big difference there in the Celtics getting to the line in this game. The Bucks have done it in the other games, but that's been a real plus for Boston, and they need every edge they can get at this point. They're going to continue to apply that defensive pressure. They must.
Milwaukee's missed only 2 free throws tonight. Boston, on the other hand, has missed 8 unofficially. Junior Bridgeman. Of course, as I indicated before, you get retention of the ball. Wow.
What a play.
May I take 3 giant steps, Junior Bridgeman.
That's that old rocker step move.
Woo!
You bring it up and take it to him.
But Boston doesn't play Bridgeman for that kind of a move.
No,
he'll do it occasionally to keep the defense honest. Nice soft hook there by Cornbread Maxwell. 78-65. He sure is, John. He's got 14 points. This is his best effort of the playoff series.
They've had problems throughout the series getting him the ball deep for that type of play.
Marques or Junior? Junior Bridgeman. The bench. Winters. Bridgeman catching again, doing a job for Milwaukee.
That's the double screen play, but Bridgeman getting wide open on it.
Harvey Catchings. That's a 6th rebound for the Bucks man off the bench. Winters. And Milwaukee trying to put Boston to sleep right here. 6 points for Brian Winters. And Milwaukee with an 82-65 lead. Do they love it? You better believe they do. The Bucks 82, the Celtics 65. We'll be back. 82-65. John McLaughlin, again, I think important to note the difference that Milwaukee's bench has played in this ball game. So far in this game, Milwaukee has had the edge 19-15. Now that's a lot closer than it's been throughout the series.
Yes, it is.
So Boston deserves credit. But Junior Bridgeman and Brian Winters again have been magnificent in the scoring department. Bridgeman so far here in this ball game with 11. Brian Winters with 6. And Harvey Catchings on the boards doing what he's supposed to do. Rebound, block out, 7 rebounds.
Well, Eddie, you know, Milwaukee, like so many of the good teams, Boston, Philly, so on down the line, LA, they do have depth. They just have not had healthy players all year. Now that they have them, they're using that depth to perfection.
Boston bangs the boards. It'll go on Catchings. He's got 5. 82-65 with 10:19 to play in the ball game. Larry Bird, who dislocated a finger twice in the first game, was out sick the second game, played very well in game 3, and doing a great job here in game 4. Look at them run Ainge around the pick in the middle. They run a curl in deep. That's McHale. Oh, by Catchings. Oh, wow, was he upstairs. Moncrief, Marques Johnson, Catchings in the hole. And they can't get it to fall as back comes Boston. Archibald. And a blocking foul on Milwaukee. The second team foul on the Bucks with 9:52 to play here in the game. And that is number 5. So Catchings in deep foul trouble now.
Okay, now this time you'll see Catchings go for the attempted charge with his body rather than going for the block. And on a guy like Archibald, you're not going to get that call a lot because Tiny is magnificent at sliding away from the defense as they come up to play him. And very seldom will he get that charge call.
Alton Lister has come back in. He has 10 rebounds in the game. Harvey Catchings will go out. And the crowd loving Harvey's effort off the bench tonight. Turnovers, Milwaukee 16, Boston 11. Important, but neither team has been able to convert a lot of the breaks. 8 points on each side. Archibald, the little left-hander, 34 years of age. One time led the league in scoring and assists, the only man in the history of this great league to do so. 7 points for Tiny. He's not had a real good series. Not had a lot of minutes. He's only averaging 22.3 minutes a game. Marques, clear out, send Moncrief the other way. Johnson wants it again. Changes with the left hand, followed by Lister. No block out Boston. Lister over the back of Larry Bird, 84-67.
Well, the problem was McHale came over to give help. That left Lister open to go right to the hoop. Oh, my goodness. What a shot by McHale.
Good enough to score, 84-69. By 5th, Milwaukee with 9-10. Can Boston make a last spurt here? Or else they can put them in mothballs until next season. Bridgeman lost it off the foot. It'll be an over and back, I believe. Yes, sir. Off the foot of Junior Bridgeman. Turnover 17. 9:01. Boston with a chance to cut it to 13.
And that's the type of play Boston wants. They want the Bucks to turn the ball over without a shot opportunity. And each time that happens, Boston, of course, would like to counter with a fairly quick hoop.
If Milwaukee wins, they're going to need all the time they can get before the next series. Ainge, three-pointer. Maxwell, Johnson over the back of 6'9" Maxwell. Out ahead Moncrief. Grilled cheese and foul. And Hugh Holland's exceptional job of getting inside to make sure there would not be any follow or retaliation after a very physical foul.
Well, I'm surprised Marques didn't get an over-the-back foul on that play. I don't know that there was contact, but often you'll see it. Now look at this. That's called taking a foul and making it good by the Boston guards. Ainge gets the foul.
I'll guarantee you this. The Boston Breakers in their game yesterday didn't have more hitting than this one here tonight. 85-69. Moncrief. What an athlete this young man is, and getting better all the time. The first year in Milwaukee, he sat. He really didn't play that much. Had to work himself in. Second year, no holding him back. 25 points for Moncrief. Bird, good! He'll go to the line.
Nope.
Nope.
Illegal defense, I believe.
That's an illegal defensive call against Milwaukee, their second. So it'll go back to the line, Boston there, and Boston will get a chance to inbound the ball and maybe make a three-pointer out of it.
Now look at Marques Johnson in there. He has to step up because his man is way out high. He'll come back in. Bird takes a shot. Look at that. Look how he shoots that shot above his head. It's so flawless and so perfect. It does not count, but Boston will get the ball back.
Tiny Archibald off the inbound of the made free throw. 86-70. 8:20. Bird. And it's Moncrief. Bridgeman ahead on the fly.
Oh,
he missed it. His timing was off just a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing you fear. It's like his leg gave way on him.
Archibald.
Milwaukee has plenty of timeouts to call. They have 4 plus a 20 if John Nelson needs them. He's got the max allowed in this fourth period. You can take no more than 4. He has them all. If it gets down too close, he certainly will go to that. Under 8 to play. The spacing again. Knocked away, out of bounds, off of Marques Johnson's hand. And again, Boston has a chance to cut it to 12.
Good inside defensive help by McHale on the penetration as Moncrief took it on Archibald.
Bird inside, Kevin McHale. Sweet turn jump hook down to 12. Don't you just love the way this Boston club won't go down? Boy, what a credit to this organization.
McHale has been fairly silent in the series, but he's a good defensive player and an excellent inside offensive player, and we've seen that on these last 2 exchanges.
Pop back Bridgeman. List your interchanges with winners on the strong side. Johnson from 20. Bridgeman with another rebound. Johnson in the boulevard.
Eddie Bird's tired. On that block out, he just couldn't keep Marques Johnson off, and he should be tired the minutes he's playing, and he's still coming off the flu.
Boston volleyballing. Moncrief to Johnson. Hot hand. Oh. What an awesome performance by Milwaukee tonight. 6:47 to play in the fourth. Milwaukee 90. Boston 74. We'll pause now for this word from our local cable system. Milwaukee 90, Boston 74. 6:47 to play. This is Mecca, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they're going wild for their Bucks. Boston advances the ball. Danny Ainge has got to get some shots off. Wedman, he's there for shooting purposes.
And shooting he can do.
Boy,
we've seen him respond in a couple of these games. He can play the defense also.
Lanier, the big man, wanting a ring more than anything else. Bob Lanier, the 13-year veteran from St. Bonaventure, playing 2 nights in a row for the first time this year. Oak checks it away from McHale. They go to Maxwell. Look at the double down on the defense. That's what Brian Winters talked about at halftime with John McLaughlin. An illegal defensive call against Milwaukee. Both teams now with 3. Boston will go to the line. Maxwell, their best free throw shooter, and they'll get retention of the ball.
Well, I don't know what the record is for the league at this point. Right now we have 6 in this ball game, and we see the weak side help for both ball clubs so aware of trying to be ready to come back in and give double team help or flat out double team help, and then the other guys continue to fall back in the paint.
At the line, Cornbread Maxwell. He's the man that will shoot the free throw for Boston. Their free throw shooting has not been great for Boston tonight.
There's still time for Boston to come back into this ball game. They can get a 3-point effort now with 6:01 to play. They're down 92-77.
Boston has missed 9 free throws tonight, Milwaukee 2. But the rebounding difference has been the big factor for the Bucks again tonight. 92-77, 3-pointer. Well, I'll tell you, those 3-pointers will bring you back in a hurry. Milwaukee's Marques Johnson with another rebound.
You know, Eddie, a factor in favor of Milwaukee throughout this series has been the fact they are not giving up too many offensive rebound efforts.
Bob Lanier, the big man, Moncrief, volleyball, and Whitman to Henderson. Moncrief is up. Danny Ainge, little tentative there. Whitman, 2-point range, nothing. Milwaukee keeps the pressure on, and John, unlike a lot of teams that would really slow it up at this point, Milwaukee continues to look deep, and if it's not there, they slow it down and bring it up.
Well, Eddie, you must look for that easy basket if you can get it, but if they don't have it, they have to use the clock because the clock is in favor of the Bucks.
Little wraparound, drop, lead, feed. Lanier and Bridgeman, air special. That missed everything but the floor. The second time Bridgeman has done that tonight.
That knocked 2 cameramen out when it came down.
Don Nelson.
The defense switching up, knowing they can't give that open jump shot to the Bucks. They want to keep them outside.
Remember, Nelson has had to juggle a lot of lineups this year. 27 roster changes. Henderson once, twice. Boston keeps it live, and Moncrief finally gets it again. And he is fouled by Henderson here.
I must say this, when the Boston Celtics in the last 2 games have gotten the ball back on the offensive boards, this has happened a number of times. They cannot get it to go. And there you see the trampoline action inside.
4:30 to play. Milwaukee 18, Boston 12 turnovers. Look at the jump switch on the trap. Not just a jump switch on the D as Ainge came up on Brian Winters and Henderson falls over on Moncrief. Milwaukee takes their time. Penetrating. Milwaukee must see something that they think they can do inside, because again, the spacing has enabled them to really initiate an outside driving offense that they had not utilized a lot of this year.
Well, Eddie, I think one thing, fairly consistently, the Bucks guards, Moncrief in particular, but Winters on that particular play, for example, they've been able to beat some of the Celtics guards. Ainge has been getting beat by Moncrief consistently throughout the series. That time Winters goes by him, draws the foul, and it forces the interior defense to make adjustments by Boston. Now we're seeing Parish come back into the game, McHale going out, so Parish back in the center position. Bucks guards have had a lot of rebounds, and I'm including Junior Bridgeman in that, although he plays a lot of forward. He'll swing at that guard position some, but a lot of rebounds throughout these last few games. Lister out, Marques Johnson in.
That's Gerald Henderson.
Should
Robert
be tough
Parish.
now, Eddie.
That's right. Larry Bird, Marques Johnson. He's had that responsibility the entire series, and that is why Bird is such a tremendous passer right there. He led the Celtics in assists this year. Oh, what a ball player Larry Bird is. He is just incredible. He had 5.8 assists, his best year ever, around 24 points, 11 rebounds, and almost 6 assists a game. Bird can do it all. Brian Winters off the bench. Brian Winters with 12. Before the playoffs, Don Nelson didn't know whether he'd be able to play.
Gerald
And Henderson, who has emerged as a fine player of the future for Boston, the guard from Virginia Commonwealth, cut by San Antonio, has made it here in Boston. Look at them double up on Johnson.
Actually, Eddie, Henderson has been their most consistent guard perhaps in this series. He's just done a fine job at both ends of the floor.
Marques Johnson again. Ainge has got it down to 310, 96-81. Bird, they'll have to go to the three-pointer. They'll start going to that three-pointer now, and it's 96-83. Under 3 to play.
Not dead yet.
Absolutely not. And you can believe that Bird will start firing long range, as will Wedrick. They're both in. Moncrief, penetration. Marques, rhythm bounce, and a foul.
Well, the Bucks capable of getting inside for that percentage basketball. One reason is they're executing well. Another one is Boston must gamble. They're having to gamble. Sometimes when you gamble, you give up something to the offense, obviously.
Paul Pressey comes back. Bob Lanier goes out. Standing ovation. Milwaukee knew they had to have it from that big hook and ladder. He's given it to them. not able to put together back-to-back nights regular season. He's done it yesterday and tonight.
Eddie, it's imperative for Milwaukee that Bob Lanier be in there. They've had great efforts all year long from a lot of these people, Marques and Sidney and Brian and on and on and on. But you got to have the big guy because of the depth and the size he gives you.
98-83, 2.5 to play in the fourth. Lanier had 21 points in 23 minutes in game one. He was 10 for 12 from the floor and 10 rebounds. His knee locked 3 times in practice the next day, but he said, I want to give it a go, and he's in here and has done a job again tonight, and now out of the game, as Henderson has scored 2 more for Boston. 98-85. 2:16 to play in the fourth. Pressey, Milwaukee just trying to use the clock. Kept live by Catchings, but Danny Ainge has got it. Down to 2 minutes. And a foul. And Ainge will go to the line. Boston still an opportunity.
Fine effort by Ainge, Eddie, and he shows you the quickness that he does possess, getting the ball up the floor. That's what you have to do. You can't waste time when you're down like this with 2:02 to play. Ainge drawing the foul, going to the basket. He really does possess good inside and outside skills with the quickness.
The stagehand has one hand on the rope, getting set to pull the curtain close. But Boston's not ready yet as Lanier comes back. Pressey goes out, Catchings goes out, and Milwaukee's brought Brian Winters, Marcus Johnson, Bridgeman, Moncrief and Lanier in here for the final 2.
You say Don Nelson's taking no chances, and that's taking nothing away from Catchings and Pressey. He just feels that that Winters' ball handling abilities and Lanier's size more important right now to have in the ball game.
Brian Winters, Bob Lanier. As long as Boston has the 3-point arsenal, and they do, they've got a good chance right here. Boston with it, 135, and they throw it away. And that is a very big turnover right there.
Yes, it is.
That could be the big one right there. 1:30 to play now.
Could have cut it to 9, Eddie. They could have at that point. Now they still can if the Bucks can't score here.
Spread it out, down to 9. Bridgeman will forego an open opportunity. Work it down. Lanier, 3 seconds, foul called on the play.
Bad time for a foul. Wedman knows that he's upset with it. With the shot clock going down, Lanier probably would have had a difficult shot.
Moncrief, standing O.
I think if the ball boy left the game right now, he would get a standing O here in Milwaukee.
Moncrief, 25 points and 5 rebounds. Brian Winters, 12 points. There's Sidney Moncrief. And he deserves a little liquid sport right now. He has been magnificent the entire series. Bob Lanier, one time, he said, just one time, I want to get a look close up at one of those rings. Will it be this year? Moses Malone is standing in his path. That's the next opponent for Milwaukee. That's his shot.
Oh, boy. He makes that shot under duress so often. It goes straight up and straight down.
100-89. Little Phil Ford in the game. Danny Ainge on the foul. And, John, this would be a good opportunity to mention that Don Nelson, a very popular manager here in Milwaukee, very popular coach, has been under fire for 2 trades. One, the deal that sent Quinn Buckner to Boston in exchange for Dave Cowens, and 2, the deal that sent Mickey Johnson to New Jersey in exchange for Phil Ford. Ford had the job as the starting guard. He gave way when Paul Pressey just plain beat him out. Now the little man, under pressure, last year of his contract, wants to show this is his strength at the free throw line.
And, of course, handling the ball, Ford and Chris, the 2 little guys in the game for Milwaukee, to handle the ball, and this one should be in the barn for the Bucks with 59 seconds to go in this ball game.
You know when you play Boston, you're going to get all you can handle from their front line. Milwaukee felt the guards would have to do the job. They've done it tonight, outscoring Boston's guards 42-26.
Wow.
102-89. Bird, head fake. Charlie Chris. 102-89. The question is, will this man return to the Boston Celtics in 83-84? One thing for sure, you can bet that Boston will not forget this day for a long time. And even the individual season games will be wars from now on. Milwaukee's fans have rubbed it in, and they have a lot to be proud of because their Bucks have been outstanding for 4 straight games. Don Nelson, you know that after all the years he labored in Boston, he wanted this more than anything.
Yes.
His number hangs over the Boston Garden, one of the many retired. He has a lot of rings himself, but he'd like to get his first in Milwaukee.
Eddie, it's the first time in a long time the Bucks have faced anyone in the first round other than Philadelphia. It's the first time they've gotten past the first round with Don Nelson.
First time they've won a playoff series since '78. First time they've advanced to the finals since '74.
Right.
And I'm thinking, John, as this crowd is ringing loud and clear, these people here take you back to '74, a series you played in,
yes,
when it went to the 7th game against this same Boston Celtic team.
I remember it like it was yesterday, Eddie.
Carr with a steal, a foul. In that 7th game, it was Dave Cowens who beat Milwaukee and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Don Nelson played on that Boston team. He remembers it well also.
Yes, he does. Mokeski, the last man to come in the game for Milwaukee, comes in for Harvey Catchings. And what a job Harvey Catchings has done in the series and the last few weeks of the season, the month. And I think of one other guy right now. I think, and I look over at Quinn Buckner. He could have been on this Bucks team, and now he's over on the Celtics team and really has not been a factor for them in terms of playing time. And I'm sure he's happy for his teammates, but I'm sure it's very difficult because he would perhaps like to be in a white uniform. I don't know.
He's a sad man right now. Don Nelson, 150 playoff games, 4 World Championship rings. He is a happy man. It's down to 19 seconds. Milwaukee has put the pedal to the metal, and then Milwaukee bench is up en masse now to cheer their mates on as they take it down the final 17 seconds. 106-91. Quinn Buckner solemnly on the end of the Boston bench. Bob Lanier. These two guys, you talk about a mutual admiration society. When Bob Lanier came over here a couple years ago, everyone said that no one could handle him. He'd had a reputation of being a problem fella. But that's not necessarily so. He's an emotional man.
That's right.
A prideful man. All he wanted to do was to get a shot, and Don Nelson gave it to him. 107-91, the Birdman. I love the way he plays this game.
Oh, everyone loves it.
Charlie Chris, 107-93. It's down to 5. It's almost as if Milwaukee's going to win the World Championship here. But they've got 2 big runs to go. It's over. And Milwaukee has defeated the Boston Celtics. They'll advance to the next round. Milwaukee, 107. Boston, 93. A lot of respect being exchanged right now. Milwaukee, a superlative series. They advance to Philadelphia. 107-93. This one's over.